morning, everyone. Welcome to class. Good to have you on today. And today we'll be talking about drivers management. This is day 4 of your training, and I hope you people are going through the videos and you are going through your handouts as well. The purpose of this training, like I told you, is for you to be effective on how to run a fleet management effectively. So please, I will urge you all to make sure you go through, you watch the video over and over, and also go through your handouts. Don't hesitate to send your questions to me. Please send your questions and let us treat it. Mr. Emmanuel, I see you. Yes. Drivers management. Like I said, in a fleet business, without a vehicle, there is no business. And at the same time, without a driver, there is no business, because the driver is the driving force. Without the driver, the truck cannot move. So they all work hand in hand. So managing a fleet drivers effectively can save company a lot of money. Company loses millions of naira yearly on driver mismanagement. And there's one thing that we Nigerians don't value, is training. Nigerians hardly value training, especially when it comes to transport. Very few transport companies take their drivers on training. And training has to be a frequent thing that has to be occurring within drivers. And we lack employment skills when it comes to drivers. Many lives are lost because of drivers' negligence. A lot of people have died because of driver negligence. So these are the things we need to put together, and which I'm going to take you through today. So I want you all to please take time, listen to me carefully, jot down your points, and start writing out your questions as well. True drive, might not be able to take it bit by bit, but I will summarize the whole handout for you this morning. So true driver training, with telematics, we will still get there. The world is evolving, like I used to say. So most people back out of trucking business out of frustration because of unfaithful drivers. That is because if you don't manage your drivers well, or you do not employ right, it will still fall back on your truck. No doubt about that. If you employ an inexperienced driver, it will affect the operation of your work, because they will mismanage the truck, they will drive it anyhow, the truck might have issues and they will not report to you and all that. So what wreck company mostly and majorly? Drivers. If you have very good drivers and you have a sound vehicle, you are good to go when it comes to fleet business. So first of all, you need to be very careful when employing your drivers. So everything work hand in hand when it comes to fleet management. The fleet manager, the driver, fueling, and the mechanics. These 4, I call them the bucket of fleet business. Yes, because they work hand in hand. If one fails, every other one fails. So we need to be careful when it comes to employing of our drivers. There are many different procedures and management policies that can be implemented, and it can be managed by company. And that is one key thing we need to understand when we are going into fleet business. And even though we are already working in a fleet industry, we need to understand that a company needs to have a policy. Yes, you need to have a policy. These policies are like rules and regulations that guide and govern that company. So it's very key for you to have a policy that guides your company. And policies changes like every 4 years, because the world changes like every day. So you need to get involved. You need to belong to different associations, transport associations, and learn on how things changes where changes are. So you need to change your policy. You need to change policies like every year or every 4 years. It depends on the organization that you find yourself. Yesterday about I talked about infrastructure when it comes to a vehicle. We need to understand something in fleet management infrastructure. It's not about you understanding the geographical area of the environment where you are operating. For instance, let me use Lagos because I'm very used with Lagos. So for instance, you need to employ a driver that knows the environment. You will have issues when you employ a driver, probably someone from the north to come and drive in Lagos. It will be a bit difficult because in Lagos we have a lot of one-ways and all that. So your driver has to understand the geographical area, all the areas and the roads and the signs and everything. So this is why driver training is very, very key when you are employing your driver. You need to understand that your drivers have to be used to the environment where the driver is working. So it is part of driver training. First of all, when you are employing your drivers, there are so many things you need to put into consideration, and which most transporters are actually missing today. All because one driver left out of hurry, you are in a hurry, you just picked one driver and you gave your truck and trust your truck into the hands of the driver. You need to understand that your truck is valuable, number one, and the goods which you are carrying is also valuable. Drivers could be very, 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 in fact, they can ruin a company, because I've seen issues whereby driver actually did away with a consignment that was loaded with generators. Do you know what that will cost the company? The driver actually carried the old generator, the whole 40-foot container loaded with generators away. He went with the truck, he went with the container. Till date, they cannot find the driver. A lot of incidents like that. A lot of incidents that I cannot even mention or recall that happened like that. So when employing your driver, you need to put some things in consideration. First of all, when they come to you, let them come with an application. Don't ever be in a hurry when you are employing your drivers. I repeat, don't ever be in a hurry when you are employing your drivers. Let them come with an application. Alongside let them come with an application. When they come, when they submit, go through the application. If it's not well written, tell them it is not well written. They should go and rewrite it. Give them the standard. Give them how it should be written, and give it back to them and they go and write it. Then you give them a form. In that form goes with your guarantor form. With the guarantor form, alongside with your own rules and regulations, let them go back home and study the rules and regulations, which is your own company policy, along with it. So if that alone will make them know if they are ready for that kind of job. So when you are employing them, you need to assess them, check their application, ask for their driver's license, ask if they are familiar with the kind of truck you have, because a driver that drives Volvo might not be able to handle a Mack. It is not that the driver is not experienced, but it is just what they are familiarized with. It is just someone driving a manual car and an automatic car. So most people that are used to manual do have issues with automatic, and at the same time, those that drive automatic are having issues also with a manual car. So that is just the way driving is. Some are very perfect. They can drive both manual and they can drive also an automatic car. That is just the way driving is. So you need to ask. And some of them will lie that they actually know how to drive the truck, all because they want to secure a job. That is when training comes in. They need to undergo training. You will take them, you will test them with your vehicle to be able to know and to be sure that truly this person is really used and familiar with this kind of drive. They will drive, they will reverse, they will turn. All this you need to put into consideration. And at the same time, you need to check how long has the driver been driving. That is another important thing, because most motor mates now call themselves drivers. motorboys are now called drivers, all because they can actually move a truck. They believe that they are drivers. No, you need to understand that years of experience is very important. At least they should have 5 years of driving that particular type of vehicle. At least 5 years. Even without 5 years is not enough, but at least 5 years. And that will give you a lot of work to do, because you need to make them to go training until you can satisfy them and call them a standard driver. So you need to understand that also, that the driver has to undergo a test. You take them through a training. You let them to be familiar with with your company policy and everything. And you have to, if you have a standard, you have to make them to meet up with your standard. Do you want a qualified, educated driver, or you want an illiterate driver? Even though an illiterate driver, you can actually train them to be literate through your policy. And you need to check where they had actually, before I was actually going through something. You need to check where they had actually worked. Who have they worked with? Check, look at their referees. Check the name of the company. Make sure your HR have a work to do in this area. You need to do your ground check. Call, ask people about that company, make findings, call and make sure that this driver doesn't have any criminal record before he left where he was working. You need to know why he left where he was working. It could be very okay if their pay is not okay, or the truck, they don't know how to manage truck. That is very okay. But most of them, they would have committed crimes and they left the company which they work with and they come to work with you. Some stole vehicle. I've seen a situation whereby the driver actually stole a vehicle and ran away with it. And when he was caught, he was already driving another person's car. They carried the car and him and took them away. The owner came and all that. He paid, or the owner that does not even know about what happened actually paid part of the money before, at least he paid money before they could release his own truck. So all these things we need to put into consideration when employing your drivers. And we need to understand that training is very, very key. Training is very, very key when employing drivers. Let them undergo like a 2 days or 2 days induction training to carry them through. Ask questions. Let them know your goals, the company goals. Let them know your visions. Let them know your missions. And let them know that this is what you stand for. For instance, if you want to run a Besco fleet company, you need to let your drivers also grow with you. If you want to have a uniform your driver has to be presentable and neat at all times. They have to be presentable. Some drivers, when you see them, they'll just start dress. They look so dirty, they look so haggard. All these things can spoil the name of your company. Alcohol test is very, very key. They need to undergo alcohol tests. They might be drinking, but anytime they are coming to work, they are not meant to be drinking. They shouldn't be drinking while driving. All this should be part of your policy, that they shouldn't drink while driving. So you need to make them undergo alcohol tests. And the test is not something that they will do today. Do today and they will not repeat again. It has to be repeated for you to be sure that your driver is not on drugs or under the influence of alcohol. Management and motivation of drivers through supervisory example, coaching and leadership. That is the work of a fleet management. You need to coach your drivers like every morning. If you choose to do it like every week, if you choose to do it like every day, before they go out to work, make sure you remind them. You tell them what to do. They need to do the vehicle check to make sure that their vehicle are fit for work for that day. And you need to let them understand that they shouldn't run a truck in any instance. For instance, a driver that is driving a truck and the tire busted, instead of the driver should park and call the management that the tire had actually busted. He was driving the truck with no tires, damaged the rim, along the line the goods on the truck fell off. You know what that cost, what that will cost the company. So the drivers need to understand that also. Appropriate organization and allocation of driving of work. There are some drivers, like I said earlier, if they are not familiar with an environment where they are to take the consignment, please pardon them, or you will ask someone to follow them while they are driving, because this could also cost you a lot, whereby your driver goes to passes through one way and it was held. You will pay for such damages. Then you need to provide suitable vehicle for your truck. Let your vehicles be with a fire extinguisher, some vehicle equipment like spanners, and steer oil, all these things that they need, extra fan beds in their truck. Make sure their trucks are fit. We as fleet owners and a fleet manager, it is also your responsibility to make sure that your vehicle are fit enough for the driver to drive it. Don't give a driver a truck that is not good, that is bad. The driver can get frustrated, So all these things we need to put into consideration. In slide 5, like I said earlier, initial training and induction. You need to train your drivers to be defensive. You need to train your driver on how to approach customers. You need to train your driver how to address government officials when they come their way. Some drivers, they are ready to fight government officials, they are ready to fight LASMA, they are ready to fight VIO and all that. All these things, we get them so angry, and to make it to cost you more, in terms of bailing of the truck. So all these things you need to put into consideration. You need to train your drivers on how to approach people. It is very, very important. It is very, very important. And you need to provide first aid around. Accident can happen at any time. The life of your drivers are in your hands. You need to secure their life. You need to protect them. Safety first. Get them helmets, get them reflective jackets, get them fire extinguisher, get them all the things that they need, to secure and to take care of themselves. And one thing we need to understand, and this goes to the fleet managers. Fleet manager, always know your drivers. Always know your drivers. Be close to them. Listen to them. Most mistakes that we make, most times, is that we don't listen to our drivers. They have things to say. Hear what they have to say. Even though it doesn't make sense to you, but still listen to them. Hear what they have to say. Some, because that, in fact, them approaching you, no, I don't want to listen. You have killed the driver emotionally, and that will even affect the way the driver will actually work that day. Yes. So we need to understand that. They could be very annoying, truly, but you need to make yourself a listening person, to listen to them, hear them out. And while you listen to their complaint, report it back to the management. And if it's what the management can manage, you will let them know. Find a way of approaching and talking to them. Just don't talk to them anyhow. All these things kills them emotionally. So, and we need to understand that drivers' development, and this also applied to truck owners. We need to understand that these drivers are expected to be of high level. We need to come to understand that the world is evolving, like I said. Things shouldn't be going the way they used to. It depends on the standard that you have for your trucking business. And I will urge you, truck owners and fleet managers, to try to work on how to build and to make your company stand out. The fact that everybody is going toward this direction doesn't mean that you too have to go toward this direction. I give it to this transport company, to TSL. TSL drivers are always anytime you see them, they are always very neat. They are not all educated, but they are always very neat. You can never see a TSL truck over speed. You can never see a TSL company truck drivers look haggard. They look very neat. Their boots always neat. Their uniform, they have a reflective jacket, always neat. You can never see a TSL company, and they have been in operations for like 10 years now, and they are able to manage their standard. We can also manage their standard, and that is really what this training is all about. You know, standing out from others. Even people will be eager to transact business with you. When your vehicles are presentable, your drivers are presentable, in fact, prominent people will transact business with you, not just an ordinary person, because they know that you are efficient and your company also is efficient. So we need to understand this thing. We need to understand that our drivers has to be presentable, and our truck also has to be presentable. For instance, the BRT truck, you will see their drivers always completely dressed. They have a uniform. So if you want to use a uniform, use a uniform. If you don't want to use a uniform, look for another thing to complement it. If you want them to be on reflective jackets, let them know they have to be neat always. And this is the work of the fleet manager. At least before you see your truck go out or your vehicle go out every day, ensure that they are properly dressed. Ensure that they are properly dressed. So this matters a lot, because at least if they are properly dressed, so their truck too will probably be kept, because they need to clean the truck and their vehicle, and to ensure that the vehicle is neat for the job for that day. Some vehicles, when you see them, they look so crickety, so haggard, so dirty, there are even bed bugs inside their vehicle. So all these things, the hygiene part of it is very, very important. And we need to understand the well-being of our drivers. Like I said earlier, that our drivers, they are in our care, so we need to take care of them. How do you take care of your drivers? For those who are into trucking that do delivery, you need to understand that your drivers are being on the road for days. How do you compliment them? Do you still because, for instance, let's try to understand that these trucks are actually on the road for days, for a number of days. They have not had a good sleep. Fleet owners, put yourself in their shoes. It's not all about the money. A driver should drive at least 8 hours a day, and he should have rest also 8 hours. So for instance, a driver that actually goes on a delivery and has been on the road for instance, let's say 5 days, and actually allow the driver to rest, at least let the driver take like 2 or 3 days rest. And this calls for you to have more than one driver for your truck. So if one goes for a particular trip, he should rest, the other one should take over. Don't overload or overwork your drivers. Drivers are actually dying. I've heard of an instance of a driver that actually died at area B on the driver's way to Apapa. All these things can affect the health of the driver, so we need to understand. So when they have time to rest, it will not make them to be taking all these things that they are actually drinking to get energy for themselves. The well-being of our driver and their safety are in our hands. It should not be nice if our driver actually passed out while on the operation. So we need to understand that health and safety is key when it comes to fleet management. We need to understand that the well-being of our drivers are in our hands. Even though that the company, it might not be good enough, big enough, to take care or to have an HMO for their company, but at least let your drivers rest. And how do you pay your drivers? How do you pay your drivers? Do you just pay them? Averagely, a driver should take 10% of every good you are loading. 10%. 10%. If the goods you are actually taking out, for instance, is, let's say, 100,000, the driver is actually entitled to 10,000. And aside from that 10,000, you should always give them commission. You should always give them salary. That is their commission for that particular job. And they should always be on salary in order for you to pay their taxes. Now that the federal government is now has high in transport, especially logistics, they are now asking for filing. If you want to file your return, you need to file your drivers along with it. So for this sake, you need to pay taxes for your drivers. You need to pay taxes for your drivers. So you need to appraise them. Yearly, you need to appraise a driver that does not have any criminal record, accident-free, fuel money, that passes all these tests: maintenance of truck, appearance, hygiene of the truck, fuel consumption management. It passed all those tests. Let's appreciate them. Yearly appraise them. Give them promotion. When they see that then you actually do this in this one, you make them to work more. That will let us know. It will make them to work more efficiently, because they know at the end of the year they are actually going with something. I hope you all appreciate your drivers at the end of the year, because without them, you have no operation. Yearly, you need to appreciate them. If it's you giving them gift, it be cash gift, it be whatever gift. And the best driver of the year, make sure you appraise such driver. This will make them to work more the next year. So we need to understand. We need to understand that also. So that's things to watch out for when employing your drivers. I think I've talked about that. So if you have any question, kindly drop your question in the chat room. I will look into it and I will address it. And make yourself available during the classes. Ask your questions. I will surely answer them. I want us to, all to be in agreement in what we are actually doing. You understand, in order for us to achieve the aim and the purpose of this training. And one more thing, I want to leave it. I'll be sending out an assignment today. I will group you into two. I want you to pick your group head and submit this assignment on Friday. Let it be a PowerPoint. I will send a PowerPoint template along with this with a mail. Use the template for the assignment and submit it. I hope if you have any question, please send it to me, and have a nice day. Read your handouts. I will send it along with this video also to help you to go through your classes. Thank you.